We all have challenges in life. We fall down, we get back up. We fall down, we get back up. This is something that is a phenomenon as human beings that we have the ability to do. I'm excited to talk to our next guest, Mary-Frances Buckland, where we're going to be talking about the phoenix, the rise of the phoenix, coming out of the ashes. How do we do that? Stay tuned. You're going to really like this interview. We're going to bring up our guest in just a second, but I want you to think about your own life. What are some things that you have gone through that you thought, like, I'm totally defeated and I'm never going to make my way back, but you did? I want you to really think about that, because Mary-Frances has a story to share with us that's going to help you to see how, no matter how tough it gets, we can come back. So let's welcome Mary-Frances Buckland to the stage. So excited to have you today, Mary-Frances. How's everything going?
Perfect. Thank you so much for asking. I'm glad to be here today.
Perfect. That's good. So how is perfect? I want to hear about what's perfect, Mary-Frances, to you.
I work a lot with the homeless, and they actually were the ones who told me that no matter how bad you think you have it right now, there's somebody that has it 10 times worse. Wow. So, any day that you wake up alive and you're ready to complain about it is the perfect day.
Oh, I love that. That's a great way to start every day, right? Today is a perfect day. Today is a perfect day. Yes. I love that. Before we really get into who you are and what you're all about, I want to talk a little bit about your chapter in the book, Unstoppable. And this book, first of all, it's already an international best-selling book. Congratulations on that. And we're going to pull the book up, and the title of your chapter, which is Pegasus, Like a Phoenix Rising. Why don't you share a little bit about that? Like, what is that chapter title? Where did that come from? And what does that mean, without giving away your chapter in the book?
So, a phoenix is change. And, when you're down, you can only rise. And it's how you decide to rise from that decides where you're going to be in life. So you can do it gracefully, like a swan, or you can do it awkwardly, like a deer on ice. Just do it.
Bambi.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Just do it. I love that. Now, you talked about deciding, right? Deciding to do something. So can you share with us, like, how do you make decisions to shift direction of what you're doing? Because a lot of times when we're deciding, it's deciding to do something maybe a little bit different than we've done before. And so how do you yourself tap into that decision-making process to change up what you're doing?
Well, every day you have a choice. You have a choice to do things like you did yesterday and get to the same place you were yesterday, or make better decisions today based on knowledge from yesterday. So what I do every morning when I wake up, it's day one. I declare every day as a win. My feet are on the floor and I have the whole day to look forward to. Every sunrise is a reminder that there's a new beginning.
Every day is day one, opportunity to start over again. And whether we're making a decision or not, we're still making a decision, right? I mean, the decision to not do something is a decision.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, who you are, what you're all about. So who is Mary-Frances? Like, what are you doing today? And, how did you become who you are today?
It's very interesting how I became what I am today. It took the end of a 20-year marriage. I was actually very upset about my divorce date because we could only get divorced on Mondays, and that put me at the 20-year mark. It was 2 days after our anniversary that I got divorced. And when my mother passed away on her deathbed, I promised her I'd take care of Dad. So I left a relationship that I was in at that point, moved back home took care of my father and helped him transition to the next life. And it was for the first time that I didn't know who I was. I was no longer a mom because my kids were old, and not old, they were older and they were taking care of themselves. I was no longer a caregiver. I was no longer a wife. Who was I? What was I? And, you know, I was at a conference and everybody was saying, you know, you need to reinvent yourself. You need to reinvent yourself. And I spoke with a mentor at that time, and I said those words that, you know, everybody says we need to reinvent ourselves. And he said to me, you need to invent yourself right now. It's your time. And that's when I realized that I was always trying to fit into somebody else's mold. You know, if you wanted me to be this, I would be that. If you wanted me to be this, I would be that. And I could no longer be that person. So that's when I realized I need to do something different. And to do something different, you need to do things differently. Someone had mentioned to me, you'd be a great life coach. I had never heard of what a life coach was. I looked into it and I said, yeah, I would be pretty good at that. So that's when I did my most healing, was during my coach training. And now I'm a transformational coach specializing in healing wounds from the past to empower a self-actualized future. And, you know, that it's very empowering when you declare that you are worthy, and not only worthy, because then that opens up the door of what am I worthy of? At that point, I could only say to myself, I'm worthy of better. I didn't know what exactly it was, but I knew what I was in isn't what I wanted. I was putting into the universe what I was attracting, and I needed to break that cycle. And that's what I did.
Fantastic. I know the power of having a life coach. I'm not a life coach, but I've had a life coach, and oh my gosh, like I worked with her for 5 months, and that was the most transformational experience I ever had, because like you were talking about, you know, reinvention versus invention. I had to go through an invention because I myself had been a people pleaser my whole entire life. And so when I met my life coach, she was the one who helped me to see that I need to discover who I am. And for me, it wasn't as much about inventing myself, but it was about just to see, like, who am I? What do I like? What do I hate? You know, because instead of liking and hating what everybody else liked and hated, I had to discover, like, what is that for me? And so this process, so as you started going through this process, having, you know, you were going through life coach training, having your own transformation that was happening during your training. Now you get your training done, and there you are, and you're ready to start officially, let's say officially, because I'm sure you had been life coaching people for years and just hadn't been paid for it, right? Now you're doing it officially. What was that like to have that first paying client?
It was so satisfying. It was like the first time I actually got paid to do something that not only helped somebody, but that I truly enjoyed doing. It wasn't, you know, getting in my car and driving to that 9 to 5 and coming home and having to, you know, go through being belittled at work. You know, honest to God, on the phone, I had been called everything but a crazy white woman. And, you know, your self-esteem can only take so much of that.
Yeah.
And then that's when you start to believe what everybody's telling you. And, you know, every day that you dread going to work, you need to listen to yourself. If you dread going to work, why are you doing it? It's like, keep taking your fist and pounding it into a wall and wondering why your fist is bleeding, but let's keep punching that same wall.
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that question. You said, you know, if you don't like it so much, or if you hate it so much, you know, why are you doing it? So let's talk about that right there, because there might be somebody listening right now who is going to a 9 to 5 every single day, and they are beating their head up against that wall. So how do you recommend somebody to make a change from that? Because now we're talking about money, because it's not just the beating the head against the wall. It's like I'm beating my head against the wall because I need this money. Like that could be the reasoning there, right? So let's talk to that person right now. What's something that you recommend that they do to help themselves to get out of that situation that's literally beating them down? Because anytime you do something that you don't like or that you hate, you're beating yourself down. I mean, it's just part of the process. So let's talk to that person right now. What's one thing you would recommend that they, like, what's a step you would recommend that they take?
Well, I'm actually going to step back just a second.
Okay.
My marriage, I did the same thing. When I went to school, I did the same thing. So I've realized that through life, I was doing the same thing. I was continuously doing something I didn't enjoy doing, but kept doing it. Like you said, a people pleaser, so to say.
Right.
What did I do? I said to myself that I deserve to be treated better than this. And I will be treated better than this. And I went and I found life coaching, and it has been it's been very healing to me to break the paradigms of my past. Now, obviously not everybody can become a life coach, but if you don't like what you're doing and where you are, have that talk with yourself, that deep down talk with yourself, that one where you sit there and you say, ask yourself the hardest questions. Why am I doing this? Because I need the money. If you're not happy, what does the money mean to you? Well, the money means I can pay my bills. Is this the only way you can pay your bills? No, I can go somewhere else and pay my bills. Will you be happier somewhere else? Well, I don't know, because I haven't been there yet. I don't know what I want to do. What do you like doing? You need to keep going back and asking yourself several times, basically the same question, but for a different outcome.
Yeah.
And when you really get down deep and have that soul, cry your eyes out, it's fine, talk with yourself, that's when you're going to find what you want to do.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I had 49 jobs in 36 years. And so I was accustomed to change, right? And a lot of people might not do that kind of thing where they make frequent changes like I did. So change is comfortable for me. And I had to look at that and say, why 49 jobs? What was it about those jobs that made me want to keep leaving and going to new jobs? Because if I had stuck out any of those jobs, I would have elevated in the company. But what was it about that? So I had to ask myself and really sit with that and find out, like, what is it about that? Well, you know what? I just don't work well for other people. And that's really the bottom line. And so, becoming an entrepreneur was part of that process that, for me to move into that. And so, like Mary-Frances said, it's like finding, like, what is it that makes your heart sing? And how can you make money doing that? I mean, this is the greatest thing as human beings, is we have the ability to decide what we're going to do. And so it's just making that decision and then doing it. And can it be scary, Mary-Frances?
It can be. It can be very much. And you went from job to job quickly. I did just the opposite. I would stay in a job for 10, 15 years. It was comfortable doing it. There were some jobs that, I liked doing. I didn't like some of the people I worked with, but I liked that were coworkers. But I liked the people I served. So I held on. And then it just came down to the amount of backstabbing that was being done in the job.
Yeah.
It was worse than the high school experiences, the trauma. However, I was comfortable there. And when you become comfortable on the couch and you don't want to get up, well, then things don't get done. So I had to move on. I had to come out of that comfort zone. I had to break repetition and, again, reform a paradigm, change the old way of doing things. My mom and dad, they stayed in jobs forever. And, it was put into me that you should stay in a job, for a long time, build credibility. Well, when you're at an establishment for 10 years and people walking through the door are making 25 cents an hour less than you, Obviously, you're not a valued employee. You need to find the value in yourself and move on.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so important. And we're talking to Mary-Frances Buckland, one of the authors in our book, Unstoppable. You can get a copy of the book as well as free gifts by going to actiontakerspublishing.com/unstoppable. Again, go to actiontakerspublishing.com/unstoppable. And you can follow us. We're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, Action Takers Publishing. Just go ahead and go to any of those platforms right there and follow us over there. Mary-Frances, we're going to wrap up. We have one final question for you. And that is, what would you like people to take away from reading the book, Unstoppable: Female Entrepreneurs Living Fearlessly?
The one thing that I would say is if you are not happy, don't stay where you are. We don't have roots, so to say, where a tree can't move. We can move. Do it. Don't stay where you're not safe. Don't stay where you're not happy. The life that you want to live, that's what you need to strive for.
I think that's so important. Working with a life coach can help you to figure out what that life is that you want to live. Please reach out to Mary-Frances at maryfrancesbuckland.com. And that's MaryFrances Buckland, BucklandCom. I'm Linda Sunshine West, the founder and CEO of Action Takers Publishing. I hope you've enjoyed this interview. Please click that like and share button. Share this out because there's somebody out there who needs to hear the message that Mary-Frances is sharing. If you're looking for somebody to help you to move to that next level, that next stage in your life, please reach out to Mary-Frances and see how she can help you. Thank you so much for being here, Mary-Frances. Totally appreciate you and is excited to see what the future holds for us.
Thank you, Linda.
Hi, I'm Debbie Allen, and I just had an amazing opportunity working with Linda. She really knows publishing, and this is a big thing coming from me because I've written now 10 books. She helped me with my 10th book. I've been working with major publishers and had all kinds of amazing opportunities, but I wanted to get this book done fast, and I wanted to work with somebody that could publish it for me, do a hybrid publishing. And I just thought, okay, I'll take a chance on Linda, let's get it done. And she walked me through this process so easily. It was such a joy. And here is the big deal. I have been a professional expert in marketing and books for over 20 years, and I learned a lot from Linda. She gave me some great marketing ideas I never even thought of. My book was timely. In fact, it was a month early, and we even made Amazon bestseller before our launch. I can't tell you that she's just an amazing person to work with. She follows up. She gives you more than you're expected, that you expect you're going to get, and you will get a really high quality product, and you'll have a really great time working with Linda. She's a true professional.